All right, we are live. RIZIN 25 Intermission Show. First time doing something like this, Pat. What have you thought of the show so far? Let's just get right into it, man. How's the show? I know you don't stay up this late usually, you old man. So what do you think so far?
I don't. I don't. I am an old man, but I will say it's been worth it to stay up this late. We've had some very exciting fights. I'm loving the classic, Ryzen pageantry that goes along with an event like this. It's great to see Ryzen back. I'm super excited for the latter half of the card as well, if I can stay up that late. But
Just three.
but just three, yeah. So hopefully, but yeah, no, it's been phenomenal. I mean, it's been a great card. What about you? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, this one has definitely been very good. Ryzen 24, the last one, I thought was a little bit not, I have pretty high standards for Ryzen and because they usually deliver every single time. So this one's kind of getting back on track so far. And surprisingly, the last fight we just saw with Saumoto and Kitakata, that was like really the first fight with heavy grappling. It wasn't too heavy, but like everything's been pretty stand up for the most part. So I mean, yeah, very, very good so far. And I mean, just to run down the list here, we open things up with Yuma Yamaguchi and Shohei Asahara, and then Jin Mandakoro and Syoto Sato, both crazy bangers in kickboxing. I mean, those guys started the night off, fantastically. Especially that second fight, I thought was fantastic. The straw weights. So that one was both of those were very good. Any thoughts on the kickboxing to open things up?
Yeah, no, I thought, uh, Ryzen usually starts pretty fast, but good lord, they were swinging for the fences from the get go. I mean, these were huge shots. These were at any moment I thought they were going to go down. You had, in that opening bout, you had both guys seem to get wobbled at different
Yeah.
points. Just and then got the last second KO. I mean, come on, that's great stuff. Second bout, same thing. It's just constantly throwing, constantly all over the place. If people sometimes argue, oh, we don't need kickboxing and MMA together, why not? Why? This is a great example of, yeah, go ahead and put them together because those were two bangers to start off the card.
Yeah, definitely, man. I mean, you rarely ever see Ryzen bring any bad kickboxing fights, and they're really good at matching, exciting fighters, or, maybe they're not exciting fighters necessarily, but the matchups end up going together very well. So I really can't remember anything too boring. I mean, maybe some that are lesser in action, but they always deliver pretty well. And shout out to the man himself, Shingo, for popping in and giving us a a shout while he's there working at the event. What a soldier the guy is.
Yeah,
The
that's
real
awesome.
the real superstar of the show, really. I mean, he loves the spotlight. He won't admit it, but you see him in all the video packages now. He's really taken over that guy. So I'm only joking, Shingo. I'm only joking, but good to see him getting some love and popping in. And then, yeah, the first MMA fight of the night, a very, very interesting one. I think we started off with the old man himself, No Face, Kotetsu Boku, taking on Rikuto Shirakawa. I thought that Boku was doing pretty well those first two rounds. He wasn't looking like the Boku we'd seen recently, which wasn't that good of a Boku. But yeah, he was looking sharp, making Shirakawa miss a lot. But in the end, he just couldn't keep it up for the full three and got dropped once and then got dropped again and ate the soccer kick and was out of it. I mean, what do you think of Boku's performance overall? Because it was, even though he lost, it was a good start for him, I thought.
Yeah, no, I thought he fought smart for the most part. He was doing a great job getting in and out, doing damage. He was winning that fight until he wasn't, right? And that's not the Boku we've seen. I mean, I love me some No Face. He looked grizzled. He just looked like he had that aura. I thought this
Samurai.
was going to be yeah. I thought this was going to be, a win for him, and then he just got clipped and it just kind of went downhill from there. But overall, you know, a great performance besides getting clipped, right? Like this is far better than he has performed before. And shout out to JHK MMA, thank you,
Hey.
sir. Hey, always a pleasure to have you on the broadcast, as well as I sorry if I'm butchering this name, Hafid Darbaki. Appreciate that comment, sir. We are here. Yes, we are true RIZIN fans. We are here for it. So, but yeah, I mean, I really, you wonder, I guess, when it comes to Boku, is he gonna be coming back? You think? I would imagine so. Yes.
I don't know. It's tough because I know that I think the fight that he had before his last one, people were talking about maybe being his retirement fight, and like he was mentioning it and talking about it, and that fight was not too great. It's got kind of outpointed. It wasn't that good of a fight. And there was even talk of him taking on Mikuru for whatever reason, who's in the main event, which we'll talk about here shortly. That would have been a terrible idea. Even though Boku looked a lot better in this fight, that was just kind of, I think, a nice gesture to Boku. Like, that was probably his ideal retirement fight at the time. Now, even though he was looking good, I think let's hang it up, man. Just because he couldn't sustain it for the full 3 rounds. So I mean, nothing left to do for him. Probably one of my favorite nicknames in all of MMA. Probably time to hang it up though for Boku, even though he turned back the clock for most of that fight. But when you eat a soccer kick like that, it's just not.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you. I love No Face as well, and I'm sad he did not get the win. But yeah, might be best to hang him up. I'd agree with you there.
Yep. So the fight we had after this one was really, really something else. The kickboxing match with the middleweights, Hidenori Ibata and Isami Sano. I mean, this was something. This was really a sight to behold because Ibata, man, the guy is really a cartoon figure, and he ended up showing us he's pretty much a 6'6" wonder boy with absolutely no boxing whatsoever.
Yeah, I was watching that fight and I thought surely 2-3 minutes in I was like, oh, he'll start throwing some punches here. No, just all like all
Spamming.
legs. Yeah, just spamming leg kicks all day, but doing a very effective job for the most part. But then his cardio, just wasn't there, and after that he just lost control of the bout. But I don't think I've seen. I would love to see the stats on how many punches he threw versus how many leg kicks, because it had to have been at least 3-1, 4-1, right?
Yeah.
It's insane.
It was bad. And I mean, towards the end of the fight, once he was really gassing out and Sano figured out just to pressure him, kind of, got in tight, figured him out essentially. He was looking kind of like the wacky flailing inflatable tube man, right? Like his arms were all over the place. It was terrible technique. But yeah, he started out great. He landed some fucking serious head kicks in the front kick. I mean, he was looking good, but yeah, it was another thing like Boku just couldn't keep it up for the long run. But very interesting to watch. So,
Yeah. Oh, extremely exciting to watch. You couldn't look away. It was just kind of like, what's gonna happen next?
yeah,
It was phenomenal.
yeah, that was something. That was definitely something. Then next fight, we'll just kind of brush over. I mean, Taiga, the guy, it feels like he fights on every single RIZIN card. Took on Yuma Yamahata. Got a win there. Taiga was kind of on a losing streak. I think I saw since maybe early 2019. He hasn't won a whole lot recently, but stuck to his game plan, looked very sharp in this one, was popping the jab, working those vicious leg kicks he always has. Yuma just really couldn't get too comfortable in that one, but yeah, good win for Taiga, looked solid there. And then oh man, the highlight of the night so far came right after this. Yojiro Uchimura versus Kyohei Hagiwara. I mean, Jesus, 20 seconds, maybe 19, 18, close. He just comes out there, goes for a spinning wheel kick right away. That's his first strike he throws. And then just ices him. Just one punch and then a stomp to the back of the dome. I mean, wow.
Yeah. No. I mean the stop at the end, right? Like, he's clearly out. You got that foot stop at the end there. I mean, it was just something else. And definitely the highlight of the night. It's one of those things where we had a lot of exciting fights. We had a finish earlier with kickboxing bout, but in terms of actually getting it done in emphatic fashion, right? That was by far the highlight of the fight so far, without a doubt.
Yeah, Hagiwara, he's one of those guys who I think he really has some, star potential with his striking specifically. A very good striker, and he's got some losses on his record, of course, in MMA, but, they've come from superior grapplers. It's just kind of that case where he needs to work on that, and man, if he can just be very defensively sound with his grappling, you can see that he's a problem for a lot of people with that aggression and, the precision that he has. So yeah, just a phenomenal highlight right there. And then, yeah, we get to the fight that we just saw, Tatsuki Saumoto versus Daichi Kitakata. I thought that Kitakata was looking very good for really probably more of that fight than he wasn't looking good. I mean, striking, thought he outstruck Saumoto, but came down just to grappling and Saumoto's ability to control him a little bit more, which essentially gave him the win, it would seem. Don't think he did too much damage. I mean, he ate a whole bunch of knees on the ground in the beginning there. But yeah, it's kind of weird because if you look at damage, I feel like he wins that fight, but the control was not in his favor. So, I mean, what do you think of this one that we just saw?
Yeah, this was tough. It's one of those things where I'm with you. I don't think the right guy got his hand raised at the end of the day just because there wasn't a lot of damage. He did have that control. He had that grappling, but it certainly seemed like, it certainly seemed like Akikata did more damage overall, right? And in my opinion, that should win you the fight, especially when you're looking at the entire fights,
Yeah.
right? This isn't the UFC, this isn't Bellator, one other promotions where it's round by round. This is looking at the entire fight, and I think he got it done. So, don't disagree with that decision, but it was close enough. I'm not screaming robbery from the rooftops, but
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing that I've kind of noticed about the worldwide scoring. I always forget exactly what it's called. The global scoring system, that they are using here. It seems like they favor domination, no matter what type it is. Like, so if you look at, yeah, of course, Kitakata was getting the better of him in the striking, but maybe it wasn't as, you know, kind of stalling him as the grappling was in favor of Saumoto. So that edged it out in that scoring. Like you look at other examples of this one comes right to mind, Kana Asakura versus Alicia Zappatella, where Zappatella was winning the first two rounds. I think it was predominantly striking, but then the third round gets totally smothered, and Asakura controls her completely, gets her the win in the comeback, and like we kind of were like, oh, Zappatella thinks she's got the win in the bag here. Wait a minute, that's not how it works. You're not used to the scoring system. So it's one of those things where, yeah, just domination overall seems to be the big thing when it comes to the scoring. And this is a good example of that, the fight that we just saw.
And shout out to Popo Warm. RIZIN's featherweight is growing up. I would agree. It's great to see, just some depth in these divisions, especially as we've seen some people come and go. It's awesome to see that the pandemic and everything else that has happened hasn't affected RIZIN the way it's affected other promotions, right? A lot of other promotions that aren't the big UFC Bellators out there have struggled financially, have had to deal with different contracts, people doing different things. It's awesome to see that RIZIN just seems to be growing and moving in the right direction with everything going on.
Yeah, definitely. Just nice to have them around. And I mean, I missed the crowd so much. I think that was my favorite thing of RIZIN coming back is, of course, you got to be a little iffy about the crowds and everything, but they're stuck with that 5,000 cap. They're doing things really safely and precautiously, taking all these precautions and whatnot. And of course, I mean, not like their crowds were super noisy before because the Japanese culture and the fans are very respectful and just intelligent, pay attention to a lot of things, but there is still noise and reactions. Like the biggest reaction, surprisingly, so far was in the Ibata fight. When he was coming out with all those kicks, everybody was like, whoa, what is going on here? Understandably so. I mean, I was freaking out a little bit when he landed that front kick. Yeah, crazy chin on Sano, by the way. He really took those well. So yeah, I mean, that was the first half of the card. So far, so good, I would say. Now we got 3 more left. 2 big ones, of course. I honestly don't have too much to break down about the welterweight one coming up next, but it should be interesting. Let's Gota Yamashita. That's a great nickname. That's literally it because his name's Gota. Let's go. Yeah, haha. Wordplay. So that's fun. But co-main event. Let's go to that one and do our previews here before we get back to action. Hiromasa Ogikubo, of course, UFC vet. Well, did he? He didn't officially fight in the UFC, did he? He was on the Ultimate Fighter, and just a bizarre thing that they didn't bring in like all the flyweights there. But Hiromasa, veteran of the sport, of course, getting towards the end of his career, just came off of the vacant title fight against Kai Asakura, to see who would become the new champion. Didn't go his way. He's back here taking on Kenta Takizawa, who fought on that same card. Kenta got the win there by split decision in a tough one against Kentaro. This is a story of, the veteran taking on the guy who's trying to become a contender now. And, yeah, if Kenta wins, it could earn him. It'll be at least a fight away from a title shot. But interesting matchup when it's the guy on the rise versus somebody who's, if Hiromasa loses, it could be retirement for him. So, I mean, any thoughts on the co-main event here, Pat?
I mean, you summed it up very well, right? If Kenta gets this done, can't imagine he's not at least in a contender fight after this, right? Hiromasa, on the other hand, has looked really good. It was very surprising they didn't bring him into the UFC when he was on the Ultimate Fighter. He's looked great otherwise in terms of what I've seen, other than obviously the title fight that he lost, right? But it's not like Kai Asakura is a walk in the park.
No.
So I've got to side with Hiro here, right? I think he should be able to get this done and at least kind of keep him up there in the mix. If Kenta is able to, get this win and do it in a dominant fashion, though, you got to wonder about Hiro, and you got to wonder what's next for Kenta, right? It depends on how this fight goes. I would love to know, in terms of who do you think will get it done and how?
I mean, I just think that if we're looking at all the things surrounding Hiromasa right now, it's like he feels like his back is so against the wall, and especially after not a great performance in his last time out, that he's going to really want to go out there and prove himself. And I think just stylistically, his grappling is far superior to Kenta. We've seen Kenta's that's not his main strength, right? On the feet, that's where it gets really fun and exciting. We know Hiromasa can hang there too. I mean, we look at the fight before the Kai Asakura loss against Ishiwatari, a late fight of the year contender there at RIZIN 20 to close out the year. That was a fantastic one. So I mean, yeah, I have to lean on Hiromasa just because of, the experience in his favor, the level of competition, all these things, and specifically the grappling. If he decides to play to his strengths and go for the win and not try to be overly exciting, I think he should be able to get it done. But yeah, Kenta is definitely a guy to look out for, win or lose here. And I think, he's still young, just turned 26. What was it, this month, I think? So yeah, it was this week. His birthday was on Monday. So, plenty of potential and time for him to keep growing. But yeah, I don't know. I just think stylistically, Hiromasa is kind of the pick. So we will see very shortly. But yeah, we will move on from that to the big main event. History in the making. Featherweight title fight. Mikuru Asakura taking on Yutaka Saito. Gonna see if we can have two Asakuras claim RIZIN gold here. This matchup, very interesting, man. Mikuru Asakura, just an enigma, just a character, a very interesting guy. So yeah, what are your initial thoughts on this main event? How do you see it going? Are you hyped for it, Pat?
I am. I mean, as again, we've talked about that this is normally way past my bedtime, but I am hyped for this. No, this should be a great fight. I love it for the the featherweight belt. This, as you mentioned, Asakura is a character, and this should be a good one. Commenter's name here, Trump 2020, betting all his money on Saito. I think that's an interesting call. I
wonder what the odds are.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, what the odds are.
Yeah.
I lean Asakura here, but I wouldn't be shocked if Saito comes out there and just, wrecks him either. This is such an interesting fight that I can't really describe how I think it's going to go, because I could see it going four or five different ways. Either way, I'm hoping it's a banger, right?
Yeah.
That's what we've come to expect when we see that name Asakura, regardless. But especially against Saito, it would be awesome to just see them, throw leather for as long as they can stand up. That's my dream scenario, and because of that, I'm gonna say that's going to happen to maybe will it into existence. So, who are you? What about you, though?
It's very interesting because Asakura, obviously a superstar. One of the biggest, fighters in terms of popularity in Japan. His YouTube channel has over 1 million subscribers. The guy is just something else. He's doing his own thing and doing it very well. And he doesn't give a damn what anybody thinks about him, which you see in his fighting style, right? He doesn't care about being exciting or anything like that. He's just going to go out there, do him. If I'm going to get the win, sure, whatever. It's like he doesn't really care about fighting as much as maybe he should, but he's just doing the thing, right? So it's kind of an interesting thing. Like, he could win and just walk away, be like, yeah, I got the title. I'm out of here, guys. I know I'm still young. Like, it's a really weird thing. And it comes down to, I think, if Saito will be affected by this moment. Title on the line, taking on a guy who is, he's the A side. If we're gonna be honest, right? He's the big name in this fight. And then stylistically, if Asakura can, do his game plan, keep the distance, just do what he wants essentially, and be comfortable. That's where he should be able to rise to the occasion here and get the win. Saito has to make him uncomfortable, really, get in his face, make it ugly, because we don't see many people do that to Asakura, and when they do, that's when it gets most interesting. So you got to make him uncomfortable, get him out of his comfort zone, and yeah, I don't see it going to the ground particularly because Saito does like to, throw hands too. It just comes down to if he can get comfortable making Asakura uncomfortable, which that's really the biggest question because Mikuru is gonna do Mikuru, right? Whatever he's feeling like, he's just gonna do it. So I don't know. I do like the Saito upset, honestly. But what were you gonna say there?
No, I didn't see that coming. But I was just gonna say, as you mentioned with Asakura, can you make him uncomfortable? The dude again doesn't really seem like. You mentioned earlier he could win and just be like, yeah, okay, I got the title, that's fine, it's whatever. I don't know how you get him out of his comfort zone where he really starts to like make mistakes or is really worried about what's going on. I'm pretty sure that he will stay in his comfort zone pretty much until, forever, maybe. I really know. I mean, our good friend JHK said he has his moments where he looks complacent. I'd agree with that. He does have those moments, and yes, that is where Saito can capitalize and really damage him. But it's still, I don't know, man. I just don't see it. Personally, I don't see it, but I'm excited either way. That's for sure.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be a good one. History in the making. Yeah, I do like that Saito upset. I mean, he seems like a very disciplined guy, and like doesn't seem like he's been affected by this moment yet. It'll come down to, once he gets in there, and we'll see how it plays out. But yeah, I mean, the intermission should be ending here soon. I don't have it up because internet's not great. So yeah, I think that could be a good cap on it, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this first intermission show. Like, subscribe to the Body Lock, of course, all that stuff. Cannot wait to get back to the action. Been a great night of action so far. Not just in RIZIN, but Invicta was good earlier too, just to throw that out there. So yeah. Thanks for joining us, everybody. And maybe we'll do this again if you liked it enough. I thought it was fun. What'd you think, Pat? How'd the first show go?
No, I love doing it. Definitely all about coming back. Make sure to like and subscribe. Let us know which fight you like the most so far. Let us know who you think is going to win the main and co-main because we definitely want to know about that. And we'll keep track of that to see where everyone stands on that. And yeah, I mean, I love doing this. So, despite it gives me a reason to stay up late and not feel old. So I'm all about it.
Yeah. And if we do one for the New Year's show, which obviously you should, even though it is New Year's. So we'll see what happens, but we'll have a longer intermission for that one too. Cause this event is not on Fuji TV, which means no long intermissions. Cause that's what that's all about. Oh, and hey, thank you, Mr. Wells. Wow. Can't believe you liked and subscribed.
Appreciate that, Mr. Wells, of course. And Christian Gary, is clamoring for a post-fight show here.
Oh,
I don't think we're gonna get one done tonight, but if we get enough comments saying, "Hey, we need a post-fight show," let us know. Sound of Violence, of course. We'll definitely do another intermission for sure, but let us know about a post-fight too, because if we've got enough people that are willing to stay up or that just want to see a post-fight show after, I'm sure we could make something work.
Yeah, I mean, if we do one tonight, it would be like a 3-fight post-fight show because we already did the other ones, So.
Yeah, and I don't know if I have the strength of will. I have to prepare for a couple of days, right?
Right.
I'm old people.
Either way, fun stuff.
Yes. So. But yeah, thanks for joining. Get back to the fights, and we'll catch you on the flip.